Today's lesson is congruence and right triangles. The first thing you see is a right triangle. I have identified the hypotenuse, that is the side directly across from the right angle, as well as the two legs of a right triangle. Alright, the hypotenuse leg theorem says that if the hypotenuse and a leg of one triangle are congruent to the hypotenuse and leg of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. So for example, I have this hypotenuse congruent to that hypotenuse. I have the legs congruent to each other. We're going to call this first triangle, triangle A, B, C, and then the second triangle, triangle D, E, F. So because of the hypotenuse leg theorem, I can say that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF by hypotenuse leg. Now, one of the most important things that we need to do when we're using hypotenuse leg theorem, we need to make sure that we state that the triangles are right triangles. We have to say that the triangles are right triangles. The definition of hypotenuse leg theorem says if the hypotenuse and the leg of one right triangle are congruent to the hypotenuse and leg of another, then the triangles are congruent. So you have to make sure you say that. All right, now let's talk about, your notes say to write a short paragraph why the two triangles are congruent. So let's just look at these two triangles and discuss why they're congruent. Well, the first thing that I see is that these two angles are congruent by vertical angles. And since one of them is a right triangle, since one of them is a right angle, the other one is a right angle. And we also know that right angles are congruent, okay? So I have two right triangles. Notice now I'm going to have to say I have two right triangles. And then if I look at my two right triangles, the hypotenuse of one triangle is congruent to the hypotenuse of the other. And O is congruent to PL. And the legs, ML is congruent to MO. So because both of the triangles are right triangles, the hypotenuses are congruent and the legs are congruent, I can say that triangle MLP is congruent to triangle MON by the hypotenuse leg theorem.
Just a quick couple of announcements.
All right, the second part of your notes asks what additional information do you need to prove the triangles are congruent by the hypotenuse leg theorem? Well, for this example, you need to know that both of the triangles are right triangles. You need to know that triangle BTL is a right triangle and triangle RQK is a right triangle. So you need to know that the triangles are right triangles. All right, our last example here we have a rectangle. I already know that RY is congruent to RY using the reflexive property of congruence. So I just need to know that one of the legs are congruent to the other. So I need to know that either TY is congruent to RE, segment TY is congruent to segment RE, or that segment TR is congruent to segment YE. Those are the two things that I need to know in order to use to prove that these two triangles were congruent by the hypotenuse leg theorem. And that's it.